Hi, this is Derek from Boise Cylinder Head Services. Today we're continuing on with our single overhead cam Subaru build. We are going to be cutting the seats today on our Rottler Ej25. What we've done before this was pulled the heads apart, ground the valves, went through, checked the guides, cleaned them up, then glass beaded them. Then we installed new guides into the exhaust side because there's a pretty common slip guide issue with these heads. And now we've got them over to the Rottler Ej25, which we're going to mount it in there and cut it as the next step of this rebuild. So we're going to get started here. I just got to mount this head into this Rottler Ej25 seat and guide machine. Clamp it in, level it out, and then we can size up the cutter and then cut the seats. Oh, so we do these in batches, and I think we got about 15 heads, probably 15, 20 heads going on right now that we're going to be rebuilding. And this seat and guide machine makes it way efficient for us to cut all these exhaust seats and intake seats one right after another. Always remember to wear your safety equipment when dealing with machinery. You have metal chips fly at you, and that's not safe. Get a piece of this in your eye, you're going to be disliking life. So I got this thing mounted in there. We got a carbide steel pilot that we use. It's really rigid and easy to break. We put that in the guide hole here, and then we can use this digital electronic level to verify that we're level. We got a little, that's our leveling numbers right there. We want to get as close to 0 as we can. There's a little bit of wiggle room there. I think 0.03 in either direction is where we feel comfortable at. I got it leveled that way, and we turn it to go front to back. It's a little bit off here, so I'm going to tap on the cylinder head just a little bit to adjust it. All right, we got it set that way. I'm going to check this way again just to make sure it didn't adjust it out too far. We're looking pretty good. And then we got to verify our machine is also level. It does look like it's off just a whisker. There we are. All righty, now that that's all locked in and tight, we got to set our cutter up for the exhaust valve here. So I put it in our little fixture here. That'll pinpoint where we want that seat, valve to seat contact. I just use that needle point right there to touch the valve where we want it. And then once that's set, I think that's going to be pretty sweet there. And once we get that where we want it, we can take this valve out, put our pilot in, and then we can set our cutter up. We got about a 7-angle cutter here that's going to cut our seat profile on it. It's kind of rounded at the bottom there, and then we got our 30, our 45, and our 60, which is the standard angles. And then all this rounded is extra for airflow, and we just love this cutter. It gives us a nice finish, perfect for continuing on with a port and polish job on certain heads. But anyway, so I'll put this on our fixture here, and we'll just drop that little needle right at the top of the 45. There. There we have it. It's right where we want it. Lock this cutter in. Put our pilot back into the cylinder head. We already know we're leveled. I'll put this in our fixture here, and then our fixture here. see. It just snaps into place. Everything's tight. Got to make sure we only have a certain amount of play here, so we got to make sure that this pilot falls underneath this cutter with enough room not to bind. I think that should do it. Make sure everything's tight, locked down, safety glasses are on. I go down and touch the seat just a little bit and set our little dial gauge up here that we can tell how much we're going to be cutting off this cylinder or off this seat. Got it right on 0 where it touches down, so I'm going to raise it up a little above that so we don't break our cutter, adjust our speeds, and here we go. We're going to cut our first seat. You can hear it cutting just a little bit there. We're just going to keep cutting until it cleans all the way up and we can see our 45 with a nice finish. I like to go till we see the little bit of 30-degree angle there so we know we got our full width of the 45, which I believe we do. We can slide this aside, pull up our pilot, get all that metal shavings off of it, and then to double check our valve contact, we're going to blow off a little bit of debris here and put a little dab of ink on here. And then drop that valve in there and we'll spin it around. That'll show us our seat contact, valve to seat contact. Spin that around. And you can see on the valve that little shade of red is our valve seat contact. It's we got a little bit of 30 on the top there. That's going to be pretty sweet. It's not going to change our stem height very much. So we're going to run through the other 3 here and finish cutting this, and then we're going to switch to the intake valve seats and cut those. We'll have to set our cutter up for the intake valve and re-level it for the intake side, and then just do the same thing we're doing now on the other side. So that thing's cutting at about probably 120 revolutions per second. And that leaves us with a pretty nice finish. And, you know, it cuts through the metal pretty quickly. And we just swap this pilot over. These little metal shavings here can get in your hands, cause a nasty sliver. But we're just going to move this pilot to the next one and cut the next seat. Let's see, there we go. Sometimes those metal shavings will jam up on the pilot. That's what happened here. We'll have to pop that out. There we go. Sweet. Just drop this down here. Get it leveled and centered. We're going to cut the next one. This process of using the seat and guide machine and that cutter makes life really easy because we don't have to guess our width. You know, doing the older method of a grinding stone, we kind of just got to eyeball everything or use calipers to verify our seat width. And this makes it so that everything's consistent from seat to seat, and that's ideal for what we're doing when we're rebuilding, you know, 20 cylinder heads at once here. Gives us a reliable finish we can count on. Alrighty, that's our last exhaust seat. Now we can move over to the intake side. Gonna take our pilot out so we don't break it. These things are really expensive. And then we're gonna level it out to the other side here. Just loosen everything up, switch over to the intake side, get those pretty close to level. We'll pop our pilot back in. And we'll level this side up like we did the exhaust side. The intake seats take a little less wear, so they should cut out a little bit quicker and easier than the exhaust side did. They see a lot less heat due to all that cool air blowing by them. Let's see. Setting this one on 0 like we had the exhaust side. Checking this front to back here. Alrighty, looks pretty sweet. Now we just got to set up our cutter. Just want to get that little needle right there on the exhaust intake valve. All right, it's going to be perfect. Let's get that pilot. We'll set our cutter up the same as we did on the exhaust valve. Just going to loosen this thing up. This thing has about a 39 thousandths width for the valve seat contact area, which is pretty ideal for these Subaru heads. They don't require much. It's all about heat transference, wear, and longevity. You know, depending on where we set these seat contact areas will affect the flow and the heat transference, and thus affecting how long this thing is gonna run. Tighten that down, and then we're gonna cut our seat here. We've ground these seats here a little bit with the older technique, and it looks shiny and nice, but it's a little inconsistent, a little wide. So we're gonna go in with this cutter and make them all even. Get it centered here. We'll drop it down and set our 0 for where we touch so we know how much we're taking out. And then we're ready to cut. Verify everything's tight, safety glasses on. I'm gonna lower the speed a little bit because the wider the valve, the faster the cut goes, and we don't want to wear down our cutters. And then just same thing here, we want to watch the 45 get cut into it. And then the 30 to verify we have the full length of our seat contact area. Alrighty. A little harder to tell when they're shined up, but we've changed the position of that 45 quite a bit. We're just going to double check our seat contact, doing the same thing with the ink and spinning the valve. It's a little lower on the intake valve than the exhaust. That'll give it a little more longevity on the seat and the valve contact. But now that we got that one, we're just going to move along and do the other 3. Just waiting for that 45 to clean up all the way across, then we're good. It's got a nice smooth finish. Looks like it caught our pilot a little bit there. And all these chunks of metal kind of get magnetized as they cut. All that energy in cutting it kind of magnetizes the little particles. So we got to blow that stuff off and keep it from jamming up our pilot. We got 2 left, and that'll conclude our seat cutting portion of this rebuild. Then we'll be on to resurface the cylinder head, wash it up, and then we can glue down the cap and reassemble the valves, springs, and keepers. Do a little bit of a vacuum check, and these will cut a little more there. Vacuum check to confirm all our valves are seated properly. And then we'll have a finished product. We'll have to put on the rocker arm assembly as well. All right, this is our final seat. There you have it. You got all 8 seats cut here. I'm gonna blow some debris off a little bit, give you a good look at this finished product here as far as the seat grind is going. But yeah, that's our video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification button to get all our notifications on all our videos. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's all in your head.